don't.
Do we have two mics out? I'll do the other one. Who wants to start things off? Coming to you, Rob.
Hello, Rob.
Coach Norton.
Good.
Coach, on Saturday, you said you hoped you felt differently about the officiating after you watched the film. Did you feel differently?
Not really. You know, I felt pretty much the same after watching it, but what I can tell you is that what I do know through many years in coaching is that, you know, throughout a game, first of all, it's a hard game to officiate. And some games you feel, you don't feel, you know, that maybe those tough calls go your way, and over time you think it probably all evens out. And like I said, it's a tough game to officiate, but what I do know is that I don't think there's a conference in the country that has made more of a commitment to continue to improve our officials from top to bottom. Mike Eads and certainly Dan Leibovich and coming from Commissioner Sankey, you know, they're working hard, and it's hard. But because I can tell you this, when I came into this league 7 years ago, it was about as bad as you could imagine. And where we have grown to today is really, you know, it's going to get there. But our coaches are like referees. We're not perfect. After that game, I look back and think of some of the things that I could have maybe done a little bit different. But it shakes out, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And you got to put it behind you and win, lose, or draw, and move on.
Jimmy?
Rick, you talked about the block charge being a tough call with officials. Do you think that in those cases where it's a tough call that maybe the advantage should go to the offense?
Yeah, I would say that. I think if you're going to err, I think you got to err to the offensive side on it. I do. But again, I think it's a really tough call, and you know, there's been talk about, you know, taking the charge out of the game. You can't do that. I mean, it would just turn into people bullying each other and all that. You can't do that. But and it's okay. I mean, some teams have shot blockers. Some teams have great guys that get in and charges and take charges, which is again, that's a part of the game. If that's a talent, it's a great talent to have. But I do think it's really difficult. I mean, it's a really tough call. But I would say if I'm not sure, I'm going to go on way of the offense.
Grant?
Rick, how do you get that inside production you need without forcing it, or do you try to just let your backcourt do as much as it can?
We got to get it. You know, we got to get some consistency there. I think we got some guys that can do it, but we talked about it as a group yesterday that we need everybody to continue to work to get better and know that we've still got basketball games in front of us that we've got to improve, but we do need more balance from our inside guys, more consistency, and know that we can at least make post players have to work and not allow them nights off. And so we've got to get better.
Tomorrow will be the second time you play a team playing their third game in 5 days. How does that change how you approach a game plan going?
From what we do, it doesn't change our prep. You know, I mean, this time of year, you're a lot how practice goes depends on certain guys are banged up a little bit more than other guys that aren't playing as much. You know, obviously you're going to have to make sure they get extra work to keep them sharp and ready to play because I've said it from day one, we're going to need all these guys at some point in time, and you think about it, that's pretty much has come true this year. And but we will go about our normal prep, and other than certain guys can be, you know, time can be cut down in practice, and just to make sure that we try to get them as close to 100% for the games.
Jimmy, then Grant, then Mike?
What are Missouri's strengths, and are they a team that takes charges like Arkansas?
Well, you know, again, our league I think is a tremendous defensive league, and I think that is evident if you look at numbers. And you know, when I think of, you know, Coach Martin and what he does, I think his team, they play hard. I mean, they really play hard and aggressive defensively. They're going to contest passes. They're going to get after the ball. They are going to anything that has to do with effort, and they're going to do it at a very, very high level, which I think is a great compliment to he and his program. And I'd like for people to say that about us, that, you know, that, hey, they're gonna compete at the highest level. His teams have always done that. And, they obviously, I think overall they're playing, 4 games in 8 days, something like that. But, I also think guys are young, and I think guys can bounce back young guys can bounce back pretty quickly, and especially with maturity. But we'll have to play really well, because they're not gonna, again, it's gonna be a hard-fought game, just like you would expect all these league games are coming down the stretch here, as they are from the beginning, to be quite honest. So I don't think we've been in an easy game all year.
You guys you have 7 losses, they're all quality losses against highly rated teams. I don't think you guys have lost back-to-back yet this season. What do you think that says about your team?
Well, I hope we can continue with that, but the fact is we're going to have to get locked in today, and you know, we travel today to get there, and we've got to realize that, and I do think that our guys understand the urgency of each game, and even with that, sometimes, I mean, you know, you're going to have to still go out and execute and produce and get things done, but with our schedule coming down the stretch this time of year, you don't want to have those back-to-back losses. Obviously, you don't want them at any time. It's just really important this year that we can stay focused, and just hope, again, as coaches, you're just hoping you get another one.
What do you think of the way that Jonas played at Arkansas? You keep giving him more minutes, and he keeps earning these opportunities.
Well, we do think he's the best guy in the middle of that. When we had to play zone so much, we do think he gives us someone around the rim that can affect shots, and Jonas he does have a talent for blocking shots, and that gives us the different dimension there with his length. And we need him to understand more what we're doing on the offensive end. We need him to understand the importance of execution. Jonas can finish too. He's got terrific hands, and he's a guy that we think that if he can get more physical on the offensive end, he can help us down there too.
Coach, you guys average about 16.5 assists per game this season, which is top 20 in the country. You were held to just 5 on Saturday. Do you attribute that to maybe some of the guys being afraid to drive as hard to the basket and kick out because of some of the charges they were getting? Or what was Arkansas doing to clog those passes?
No, I think you look at Arkansas. I think they normally have a lot of assists. It was a low-scoring game. I mean, you don't get assists if you don't put the ball in the basket. And during that 9, we had again 7 possessions there where we had a chance to get more assists, but we didn't make shots. You're not going to get assists if you don't make shots. But it was a hard-fought defensive game. You look at both teams. I mean, both teams played relatively fast, and you saw where the score was, because it was an elite type defensive game, but it's not a matter, you know, were we trying to drive and kick out? And again, I could go back and show you we made some shots. We'd had more assists, but we didn't.
Rick, you played Kentucky and Arkansas last week. You play Auburn this Saturday. Any concern with the intensity level going into tomorrow night, that it won't be what it needs to be?
Again, our guys have not been that type of team. We've been able to stay focused, kind of what Grant was saying, to where we get ready and we have great respect. I can tell you, I know our players do too. I mean, they beat us a year ago. How can you not have great respect for us? And they know the respect we have for Quanzo and his staff, and so they know it. And so we've just got to worry today about getting ready today and having a good day, and then making sure we're ready to play tomorrow.
Rob and Madison.
It's just the depth of the league now as you get close to the last 2 weeks of the season. It looks like maybe you go 1, 2, and 3 seed right now, and 6 or 7 in the tournament. What can you say about how the quality has improved?
Well, again, it's changed. The league is, like I alluded to earlier, our league has changed so much in the 7 years I've been here in so many different ways. I mean, I don't know the emphasis that was placed on basketball prior to me coming to Tennessee, but I know from the time that Greg Sankey walked in, I mean, he made it clear that there's been great success in this league and all the other sports, and basketball's got to do their part, and the league certainly was going to do their part, and they've done their part. But I also think there's terrific coaches in this league. I think one reason the league is so competitive is that there's not a coach in this league that hasn't had success, and it's a defensive-minded league, believe it or not, and it's always been an athletic league. Now you're combining that with some skill. I think most people would look at the SEC and think it's a very, very athletic league, which it is, but the skill level from our players have improved so much over the last, 7 years, and there's nothing in our league that hasn't gotten better. And I've said from the beginning, it used to concern me that other teams would be talking about getting 8 or 9 teams, and they'd be with 6. I'd like to think that we're getting closer to that group of guys that they think every year 6, 7 on a bad year, and on a good year more guys. But obviously, when you're beating each other up the way we do, that's why the non-league scheduling becomes so important. I mean, you've got to, if you're going to, again, I don't know. Again, I can only tell you how difficult it is to win in the league, period. But the overall schedule's got to be good, I think, too, to get that number of teams, really high number in.
Coach, Missouri ranks dead last from behind the arc in shooting in the SEC. Without giving too much away, how do you approach guarding them?
Say that again.
They rank dead last from shooting from the three-point line in the SEC. How do you just approach guarding
Well,
them?
the way we approach every game, I mean, we certainly, like every coach in the league, we're going to look at numbers and analytics and do all that. But if you play at this level, you're capable of making a three-point shot. So we're not going to ever disrespect a player. I mean, in our philosophy, we don't believe in backing way off guys because, one, we think they can hurt you with passing the ball or, dribble at situations like that. So we're going to guard the three-point line, and I don't think we've dared anybody to shoot the ball this year. And as the game goes on, adjustments are being made that, some guys get going. Some nights that the numbers say they're not good shooters, but you can kind of get a feel from watching them up close, playing against them, that they've got a little rhythm going. So you've got to adjust, but we'll go in the game and just we'll follow our scout report. But we believe that, again, anybody's capable of making a shot, and we're not going to offer any dare shots out there.
Finish up with Rob.
Coach, I don't know if you want to comment because it doesn't have anything to do with your team, but just did you see the Juwan Howard situation yesterday? And would you care to share your thoughts?
Rob, I did, and I can only tell you, I've made a lot of mistakes as a young coach. I did. I got myself too emotional, and it comes from being competitive. I mean, it really does. And I've had a couple well-documented incidents that honestly I wish, looking back, it wouldn't have happened. I wish I would have been. And some people might say mature. I think it's a competitive instincts. When games are over with, just like you guys, I have to come in and talk to you guys after a game, and there's so many things going through your mind that happen in the game, and it can be sometimes dialogue that you have with officials. That you just wonder where the communication broke down or whatever. When you feel this way, that way, where you've learned to try to control your emotions until you really can step away from it. But in the heat of the moment, sometimes it's really hard to do. I mean, I said I've had a couple of situations in my career that I wish wouldn't have happened, and I'm sure that I have great respect for Juwan Howard, and as you know, we recruited his son and know his family, and I can just tell you, in the heat of the moment, I mean, there's a lot of things we'd all like to do differently. I can tell you that, but that's, again, I can't pass judgment on anybody because, like I said, I've made some big mistakes that I wish I could go back, and I have. I've gone back and apologized to players in general that I coached that I didn't think I coached them the right way. I've had incidents with officials and other situations that, again, I really wish wouldn't have happened.
All right, Coach. Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thank you guys.